multi-million-dollar crossing built over the waters that once stood as the main divide between Janjanbureh and Sankulikunda. The bridge is the main talking point in CRR in terms of access and potential to increase the trade flow in what was once an enclosed island, whose crossing posed so much a burden to would-be investors and visitors in search of ancient relics, especially dealing with the infamous cross-Atlantic slave trade. We cross over not only to see these special varieties being developed by the chief of Lower Fuladu Modu Lamin Balde, but also to visit the fields in Tandi and Daru in CRR South. We entered the Upper River region late Thursday afternoon and began our coverage in Gambisara, where the Gambian leader has an 8-hectare coos farm and more than 3 hectares of rice at the other side of the settlement. The governor of the Upper River region, Omar Khan, led the tour from Gambisara, taking us deep into Tumanna in the villages of Ndimbu and Garawal, and later into Kantora in the village of Kantalikunda. The main crop cultivated in the fields here are rice and the late millet variety. The tractors donated by the president again came to reinforce a major part of the work in this region, where the regional youth mobilizer Maudu Suso is fighting tooth and nail to make sure the equipment are not misused. In their absence, he intimated no significant progress can be registered in the sector, thus restricting farmers to sizes just enough to feed their families. We are now in the Lower River region, where we had already visited a number of individual farms, as well as communal ones cultivated for the president, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alaji Dr. Yajame. Upon completion of the visit here Saturday morning, the team will proceed to Kanilai for another weekend of intensive farming activity. Reporting from the fields of the LRR, I am Abdul Jai.
Travel and tourism officials are all set to journey to Nigeria as the colorful West African state prepares to host another Akwaba, the biggest international travel fair that takes place in Africa. Ibrahim Ajata reports that the event comes at a time when officials are driving to break into the Nigerian market, which presents millions of willing travelers.
The travel and tourism world will be voyaging to Nigeria for another Akwaba, the biggest international travel fair in Africa that takes place in the colorful West African state. Intended to make traveling in Africa an entirely jolly and delightful affair, the Travel Expo, which is listed by the World Travel Organization, is moving to promote the continent's many and enchanting destinations.
The focus is actually for us to penetrate more in the Nigerian market, because one of the focus that we have, or strategy for the Gambia Tourism Board, is actually to try to make Gambia an all-round tourist destination. We have observed that in the lean season, we can only move away from the green season by penetrating our sub-regional market. And Nigeria is obviously one of our targets in the sub-regional market.
The best in the world of travel and tourism will be meeting to forge new alliances and partnerships to bolster the benefits of the burgeoning industry in Africa with its emerging middle class of keen travelers ready to sample destinations which provide good value for money. In the Gambia, officials are on a quest to break into the Nigerian market, which offers vast prospects amid a willing-to-travel population of 168 million people, with an annual GDP surpassing 300 million naira.
If you look at the statistics as compared from 2010 to 2011, there is an increase of Nigerian tourists to Banjul over 34%. So that is an indication of the importance of penetrating more in the Nigerian market. Apart from even going to the Akwaba, we have also realized that Nigerians love the Gambia. And the best way that we can showcase the Gambia is to be there, to show the whole world what the Gambia can offer.
And the fact that Nigerians travel all year round makes the market more enticing amid a growing communication advantage waiting to be exploited. Nigeria has 94 million mobile users, the largest in Africa.
It's not only about sea sand that the Gambia can offer. We have varieties of issues, things that the Gambia has, which is second to none. And if you look at the cost, Gambia is one of the cheapest when it comes to Nigerian expenses coming to another country. So Gambia is a country that the Nigerians love. This year we have already, for your information, we have already had a meeting last week with all the stakeholders whom we think will be participating to the Akwaba.
They say the Aqaba is the platform where Africa meets the world, exhibiting a wealth of charms, comforts and experiences, emphasizing the continent's profile as the perfect spot for a break. Ibrahima Jata, GRTS.
Well, you're reminded that you can monitor GRTS radio live on our website, which is at www.grts.gm. We're going to take a very short break now. The news continues in just a moment.
At the lowest price ever.
3G. AfriCell brings you the most affordable 3G internet bundles ever.
Get your AfriCell Extreme 3G internet service for as low as $15 is only.
AfriCell 3G bundles starting from 50 megabytes up to 12 gigabytes.
12 gigabytes bundle for a tariff as low as 5 buttons per megabyte.
And all bundles are valid for 30 days.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service for as low as $15.
To subscribe, please dial 120 and choose from the available 3G bundles.
For more info, call 113.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service.
For as low as 5 buttons per megabyte, stay connected to AfriCell's 3G network.
AfriCell.
When we say Extreme 3G,
it is truly extreme.
Welcome back to GRTS News. At least 17 people are reported dead in the extreme northern part of Cameroon following heavy downpours in the area. Tens of thousands of others have been made homeless. Northern Cameroon has been battered by torrential rains, leaving two 40-year-old dikes in the area on the verge of collapse. As we hear in this report by CFI, President Paul Biya has visited the region and his government, pledging €2 million to help the stricken population.
This used to be a public school in Zokok, a town in the extreme north of Cameroon. After 1 month of flooding, this is all that's left. Of the 6 classrooms, only 1 was spared.
We lost the classrooms, but we have not closed the school. We continue to teach the children who come to us.
The flooding was caused by heavy rainfall and by the construction of a dike in neighboring Chad. Meanwhile, on the Cameroonian side, 2 openings have been noticed in a dike. The 40-year-old structure looks like it's on the verge of collapse. The flooding has so far taken the lives of some 17 people, displaced 25,000, and destroyed entire villages.
We are really stricken. We are very scared. We are receiving help, it's true, but it's not enough.
Cameroon's President Paul Biya came to the region to witness the devastation. The government has released over €2 million to help the local population and to reinforce the dike. For if the structure does collapse, the lives and livelihood of some 4 million people will be threatened.
The red line must be drawn. That was the demand from the Israeli Prime Minister at the United Nations on Thursday, complete with a diagram. Benjamin Netanyahu referring to Iran's controversial nuclear program. Mr. Netanyahu says Iran cannot be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, and he asked world leaders to help make that clear. Now for its part, Iran has vowed it will retaliate against any attacks on Tehran's UN ambassador called Israel a regime based on terrorism. CNN's senior international correspondent Sarah Seidner has more on the raging nuclear controversy in this report.
The prospect of Iran and the bomb is concern number 1 for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Ladies and gentlemen, the relevant question is not when Iran will get the bomb. The relevant question is, at what stage can we no longer stop Iran from getting the bomb?
While Netanyahu jabs the U.S. and the rest of the world for not doing enough to stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, Iran complains that the world has allowed Israel's secret nuclear program to go unchecked and unchallenged. Anti-war activists in Israel say their nation is employing a double standard when it comes to nuclear policy, and that Israel's refusal to hold disarmament talks with its neighbors is a barrier to peace.
We have something that they can't have. Israel is a country that has nuclear weapons and says no to peace initiatives. I think that might seem as threatening to others.
Israeli political scientist Gerald Steinberg disagrees.
There's no testing. There's nothing there to say this is a threat to the other countries in the region. Iran is exactly the opposite. Israel has defined itself as an exception and is recognized around the world as an exception. It is